special presentation which is called The Abundant Mindset. And the idea of the Abundant Mindset is to get you thinking in terms of unlimited opportunities. And what most people tend to do is they get stuck in let's say, the scarcity mindset, and that's that there's never enough, that everything is, that we're kind of live in a dog-eat-dog world, and there's only so much available. And musicians especially suffer from this, because we go to that idea where, and I've seen it, I'm sure anyone who's a musician has seen it, where we feel there's just not enough gigs. There's a lot of musicians. Music's one of those things that most people do because they love it and they're passionate about it. So there's this huge surplus in our minds, anyway, this huge surplus of musicians, and very few gigs, very few opportunities. So we're all fighting for those handful of gigs. And I go back to the 80s when I first sort of came out of school, and I was looking for gigs, and we had a band, and we started out with that scarcity mindset where we really thought there wasn't much opportunity for bands, because that was a time in Australia, and I'm sure it was happening around the world, where disco we'd just come through the 70s, and putting in sound systems into clubs and pubs seemed to them a cheaper alternative. That was really the era of the DJ. And the DJ started coming in, and so all these gigs that were typically band gigs were disappearing, and was like, wow, where are all the gigs going? And this was right at the point when we were coming into it, and I almost felt like we were ripped off. It was like, we missed our opportunity. Had we been born 10 years or 20 years earlier, we would have had heaps of opportunity. Now all those opportunities are gone. But interestingly enough, it was fortunate that we didn't maintain that mindset. And I can't even go to the circumstances that brought it about, but what I know that happened is that my stepfather had contacts within the music industry, so he started to get us gigs. And then as we met more people in the industry, there seemed to be a shortage of musicians and bands. It was the opposite. It was like there was all these gigs, and they were trying to get bands to fill. And because we were doing it, and we were very keen to do it, we're only young, and I guess we were happy to be paid less than others, but it got to a point where we were gigging literally every night, and it was insane. And we were knocking back gigs by the end of it, simply because we tapped into where all the gigs were. So there's these two worlds that exist, I believe, in most areas. There's the world of abundance, and there's the world of scarcity. And you can be in the world of scarcity, and sometimes you can end up in the abundant world purely by accident, but you can also get there by intention. And the mindset, having the right mindset, is where it all starts from. So that's why I'm really going to delve into this topic of the abundant mindset. And I'm going to go to it in respect to business mostly, and how the opportunity to earn money and increase your income is just unlimited. And if you think it's not, hang with me here, and I'll take you through it and explain where it started for me. I had a music school really since the first time I started teaching was about 18, 19, and then as a business. And what happened is that there were dribs and drabs of students. It was really hard. I remember advertising to get students in the local newspaper, and I'd get a call here and there, and I was hanging on to every student, and I can even remember my first student, and I remember those first half a dozen students I had, and how I really cherished them and didn't want to lose any of them. And the problem was that I was very much in that scarcity mindset. I just believed that there wasn't many people out there who were willing to pay me to learn guitar. And while I maintained that mindset, in those first couple of years, it was very difficult. But what happened is, through my retail experience, this is where it opened up for the abundance mindset. I started working in retail, and I worked in a shop in Sydney where the customers just seemed to keep coming. It was non-stop, and I couldn't believe the number of people who were buying stuff. And it just went and went. And I actually, within that company, I became the top of their sales ladder. It was a very big company, and it was simply because I think I was used to that kind of hungry mindset of scarcity, and then I was put into an abundant situation where there was non-stop customers, and so I was just cleaning up in that respect. But I then transferred that to my teaching a few years later, probably around 21, 22, and as I started to bring that abundant mindset into my teaching, the more and more students started to come, and I got to the point where I just had more students that I could handle, and I became comfortable. I sort of relaxed, because I think at that time I probably had about 50 or 60 students, and they were all private students at that point, and it just seemed that I was the luckiest guy on the planet. I thought, here I am with my guitar doing what I love, teaching. I'm gigging at nights, I'm teaching in the day, and I'm earning 3 times as much as anybody I know within in my space. And just hang on one sec, someone seems to be trying to call in. I just have to find out who it is, and so I can switch them off. I don't know if you guys can hear that background noise, but hang on a sec. Okay, all right, so I've done that. So what happened was, within my business, I started to grow and expand and whatever, and like I said, I was earning great money, and then I wanted to go into business. But what happened is that I went to a commercial location. This was in my early 20s, and again, like I said, it was that abundant mindset style of operation where, it was not the abundance, the scarcity mindset that I sort of drifted back into that scarcity mindset, because now I needed more students and I needed to build my business. And it's funny how you drift, and that's what I found, is I drifted back into the old mindset because I really wasn't aware of it. The abundant mindset wasn't something I was consciously thinking about. And actually, when I go back to it, it was based on a sales course that I did when I worked for this particular company very early on. And the sales trainer was a guy who was probably my age now. Back then, he was brilliant, and what he taught me just transformed my whole approach. And I think he instilled me at that early point of the abundance mindset of how much opportunity there is to grow your sales as it was then. Anyway, then what happened is, once I started my own business, like I said, in a commercial location, I had the 60 students, and I moved into the location, and then I had bigger rent, I had more overheads, a lot more going on. So the 60 students was really only allowing me to pay my bills, and I was back to earning a couple $100 a week, which was okay, because we're talking late 80s, early 90s here, so it was still okay, but it wasn't great. And so what I did was that I drifted like that for a while, for quite a few years, where I sort of felt that I was struggling. I had good times, bad times, and this was an up and down roller coaster. But the next stage of that, what happened is that I started reading Tony Robbins, and I read his book, Giant Steps, and the other book that he wrote. I'm sorry, I've just forgotten. But those books were the first books to sort of introduce me really to the abundant mindset. I started to see the way he spoke and the way it was more about achievement, about succeeding. And once you start reading an awful like that, you start to adopt some of their mindset and their ideas, and that's what I started to find. I saw my business very differently. But I'm just going to fast forward a little bit to where, because what happened is, each time I had these bursts, they would take me to another level. But I think one of the real turning points was a guy named Jay Abraham, and Jay Abraham is a master at this mindset and the abundant mindset. And what he spoke about was really looking at your resources within your business and the opportunities within your business. Your business is full of opportunities, and what we don't see within our own businesses and our own lives is the amount of resources, unused resources. And this is what Jay Abraham is really good at. He's really good at spotting the unutilized or unproductive resources within your business, within your life alone, and then outside of you. So in other words, looking at all the resources everybody else has that are not being used. So what I'm going to do is give you a few examples about resources and how they're unused. And what Jay did, and what he's really good at, is he'll actually get examples of people and he'll turn them around into showing them all the unused resources within their business and how they're leaving thousands, millions of dollars sometimes on the table. So I'll give you an example. Within your premises that you guys rent, this is just a small, easy example that you can understand. So if you rent a commercial location, right now, you're probably using a percentage of the time. I doubt that you're teaching 24/7 in your premise. So when you break it down and have a look at how much of your studio you're using, let's say you're using it 4 days a week for 5 hours, 6 hours each day. So out of what amounts to 100 and whatever hours a week, you're using it probably about 20% of the time. So there's 80% of an unused resource sitting right there. So that's the first thing. So he'll look at things like that, about these resources that you're not capitalizing on. Then he'll and what he's really good at is marketing. That's his strength. So he will look at things like, and we've used this example within G4, where you you look at say the flyer, and on one side you're marketing, and on the other side you could put this an opposite ad on the other side of your same business, of course, or you can put some other business on the back side. And by doing that, and that's what I did with G4, was have us on the front, and my business on the front, and then I went to the piano teacher next door and put her on the back. Not only did I halve my costs as far as the printing is concerned, but I also got her to pay me to go and deliver the flyers. So I was not only able to save cost, I was actually able to make money doing my own marketing. So the saying in business is other people's money, other people's time. And it's not about using people, it's about using resources that are not being tapped into. So there was one example of a resource that by using the other side of your flyer, you can do that. So within your businesses and within your community, you've got all these businesses around, and this will hopefully start to open your ideas, your minds a little bit into the abundant mindset. But you've got all these businesses that surround you that are all very much in the same boat as you. In other words, they're looking for new customers, they're looking to get more business and to grow their business. And the scarcity mindset is like this. It has this idea that, okay, let's just say that you live in a community where there's 5,000 people, and you say 5,000 people in my community are likely to come and spend money in the businesses around here. There's restaurants, there's pubs, there's shops. They all only earn a certain amount of money. So they've only got a certain amount of, after they pay their rents and pay everything, they only have a certain amount of money to spend. So there's 5,000 people, let's say, times by however many dollars they have a year. That's how much money they can spend that's their limit, that's their top limit. So first of all, two things. One is that out of that money that they earn, they're going to spend a certain amount in your community and a certain amount out of your community. And with the internet, going out of your community has become a lot easier to spend the money. In the old days, when there was no internet, people would spend the majority of their money within their community. Now, they don't have to spend any in their community. They get actually everything they want outside of their community. So on one side, we're looking at how much money is flowing out of the community versus staying in the community. The second thing is that within a community, the more that you bring the money in and keep the money in the community, the better everybody does in the community. This is the thing, because a lot of the people who own the businesses in the community live in the community, and as those people do better, it actually spreads out to the whole community. So you can end up with a very, very prosperous community. And if I give you the best example of this on the planet, it's Silicon Valley, which is obviously in California, near San Francisco. So Silicon Valley, I don't know how well you guys know Silicon Valley or anyone watching this, but Silicon Valley is without a doubt the most wealthiest place on the planet, and that's because that's where companies like Google reside. So with having a company just like Google alone, let alone the other 1,000 companies like Apple and etc. that are all there, Google and Apple alone are worth the dollar value you put on those companies is massive, and they're surrounded by lots and lots of companies like this. So because we've got these two companies, we've got these companies in a place called Silicon Valley, what's happening is these companies are bringing money into the area, and as money comes in, money attracts money. So more people start moving into the area, more people start to actually prosper, and what they do is they can then afford to spend in the restaurants and spend in the business locally. So even though that's an extreme example, that's the internet, and there are reasons for that as well. But the internet and the world of internet developers and so forth, they very much have an abundant mindset. You're going to be very hard pressed to find anyone who works in IT at a high level. I'm talking with your Googles, Facebooks, etc. Any of these guys that don't have the abundant mindset. They see there's a guy named Diamandis. If you can check him out, Peter Diamandis. He runs what's called Singularity University, but he also runs another thing called XPRIZE, and he's written a book all about abundance, and he talks about how our future is abundant and that we're moving more and more into abundance. So and I'll give you a little quick history lesson here, but if you go back through time and you look at where we are today, things are moving exponentially. So the development of technology, the development of opportunity, abundance, everything is accelerating at a faster and faster and faster rate. And this isn't someone like Ray Kurzweil, as he will show you, this is not just a theory, this is actually proven scientifically, and he's been predicting these coming. An example is Moore's Law. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Moore's Law, but Moore's Law basically has been going since about the 70s, I think. And he was a computer scientist who basically said that every 18 months, computer power or chip power will double. And he's been pretty well spot on. Every 18 months, it's been doubling. So that's the exponential. And what that's meant is we've gone from having a computer the size of a football field that was the biggest, the main computer, the only computer at one point that they had, and it's gone from that back in the early 70s, I think, to today where you've got more power in your cell phone. You've actually got more power in your phone, more computer power than it took to land a man on the moon. So just sort of get your head around that the fact that that's how far we've come. So because it's moving exponentially, where are we going to be in another 20 or 30 years? And the answer is, of course, there are two ways to go. You can have two scenarios on here. We can all blow ourselves up, or the planet can become so overheated that we all suffocate and die. That's possible. We know that's possible. But the other side of it is that technology is going to ramp up so fast, which it is, that abundance is just going to become the norm. And even if you look today, very few people, especially in the world we live in, starve. There might be different grades of food. Maybe the food's not as good as it used to be, and there's all these arguments that we can present. But we can't argue the fact today that there are very few starving people. Even when I went to the United States as a teenager in the 80s, I was shocked by the amount of homeless people that were in the United States. Today, they talk about that, how people were once homeless. Homeless people in the States today are people who choose mostly to be homeless. They're not people who are actually, can't afford to live anywhere. So and we look at around the world, if we look at Asia, if you look at the progress, especially of Asia, Asia used to be a very poor, struggling, most of Asia was struggling. Chinese people were starving. Most of Southeast Asia was very, very tough. Now you go to Southeast Asia, you go to somewhere like Thailand, even the people on the street in the markets are holding, iPhones and Samsung phones. It's a very, very different world. So within the last example I'm going to give you here before I sort of open it up and we'll have a bit of chat about it, is that within the idea of the scarcity principle and where does it come from and what do we do? Within consumerism and selling and marketing and so forth, scarcity has been something that has been used as a way to market, because there's nothing better than saying, I've only got a handful of these, they're going quick, if you want one you better buy it now or you're gonna miss out. That whole idea of scarcity is what consumerism has been driven by. So we've actually created this feeling of scarcity. You only have to look at these Black Friday sales, the after Christmas sales, New Year sales, all those sales, and you look at these crazy people who are trying to kill each other to get some bargain, when the reality is that they could probably buy it near enough to the same price on eBay. This is, again, what's happened is that we have been really, we've grown up and we've come from a past which has been scarce. And if you look at nature, scarcity is the rule. For basically every creature competes for food sources, for whatever. It's very, very competitive. That's just the way nature works. But today we're moving into the opportunity, or we're moving into an abundant world, and that's because of our technology mostly, and it's because of our systems. But within our businesses, which is really what I want to get back to, within our businesses, the abundant opportunities to find students, to earn money, to grow your business is just unlimited. And what I want to do now is sort of open up to you guys and just talk about where you think there's a short supply, or where you may yourself personally feel there's some scarcity happening. So Ben Messenger, because you jumped on first, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on scarcity and abundance? Yep. Ben, are you there, Ben? Maybe not. Maybe. No, he looks like he's dropped out.
Definitely not.
All right. Ben Arcadi, do you want to jump in there?
You can do. Although I don't really have much to add to it. I mean, I guess it's very easy to think that there's not enough students around, and every time you get a dropout, that's one off the permanent list of people who could be a student. But I mean, that's true within a given time period, but the moment you stop looking at that time period, then you think, well, more people are being born every time, and there's always going to be more people moving into the area and moving out of the area, so you'll never run out of students. It's just if you put billions of pounds into marketing, you might catch up to the rate. But if you're doing that, you're clearly getting enough students anyway, so it's not a problem that any of us would actually have to experience.
Yeah, yeah. So, from your point of view, is there any area that you think about sometimes that you think, oh, I wish I had more, or I'm not getting enough response from my, my marketing, etc., etc.?
Obviously, it'd be nice to get more response from more marketing, but I guess the numbers that I've been led to expect are what's happening, so everything seems right on plan to me.
Okay, great, excellent. All right, so and it sounds like you've got that mindset. And the idea is that we don't, and we all go through it, and even I go through it at times. We don't want to think that the opportunities are limited, and that and this is what I see sometimes is where a teacher will say, I've been trying this, I've been trying that, and I'm not getting any students. It's not working. And what's not working is their idea, their imagination. They've run out of ideas as to how to get more students. Because the fact is, there are really, as we know, you can just keep growing and growing and growing. And it might mean opening another school. So it might mean that this particular school is not generating enough inquiries, because we have to get down to what it is that we really want. What are we looking for? And is it more income that we want to make more money, or do we want more time? Do we want more freedom? So and which are really the two main things. And for most people, it's not about money. You can't eat money, but it's about what the money will do for you. What is it that you want that money to do? And often people don't actually take that path. They don't go around the money and say, well, what is it that I want with the money? Well, I want a new guitar. Okay, do you necessarily need the money to get that new guitar? Is there something else you can do to get that new guitar? What are the different ways that you could do to get that guitar? Could you get a sponsor to give you that guitar? So the idea is that when we're thinking about the ways, and it's the same with ways of getting students, it's not just about getting more money or getting even more time. Sometimes it's about getting whatever it is that you want. Why do you want more time? What is the time going to get you? What are you going to do with that time? And why do you want more of it? So someone might say, I want more time so I can write more music, so I can spend more time composing, which is a common thing amongst musicians, right? So what do you want? Why do you want to compose? What is it about composing that you want? Well, I want to write a really great song, or I want to do an album, something that I'm proud of. Okay, cool. So how can you be more resourceful about it? How can you build a team that'll help you to do that quicker? Rather than having to do everything yourself, why don't you build a team around your ideas and come up with an album concept where you delegate and different people do different parts? People may even be better than you at certain instruments or certain parts of your album. And so build a team around what you need and get it done faster in less time. So it's not necessarily that you don't have the time, you just need to bring in other people so you can build a team and get things done quicker. So these are some of the ideas of circumnavigating what it is that circumventing, I should say, what it is that you want to achieve as far as your goals are concerned. What do you want the money to do? What do you want that extra time to do? Because they're really the two things that most people come to me and say, I don't have enough money or I don't have enough time. So I'll just see if Ben Messenger, are you there now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me, David?
Yeah, excellent. So
yeah, Mr. Fair jump at that, mate, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, no worries. So basically what I'm doing here is just getting a little bit of feedback from you guys as to where it is, in terms of mindset, whether you feel... The thing about these Hangouts is often the guys who attend are the guys who already have the right mindset. So, but we'll go through the process anyway, because we've all got sort of cracks in our armour. that we probably want to look at and see if we can improve on. And I know that I do. I'm not here telling you that I have the perfect abundant mindset. What I know, though, is I recognize within myself at those times when I'm thinking about scarcity, when I'm saying to my wife, we need to cut back, or I'm too busy to spend time with you today, or whatever. When I hear myself making those excuses and those lines, I realize that I need to stop myself and look at myself. So anyway, I'll come to you now, Ben. So where do you think, do you ever feel that you don't have enough money or enough time?
A little bit of both, I think. And I think the issue I have is that in my head at the moment, I can't have one without the other. In that I can make money, but it'll mean you're working more hours and having less time, or I can sit back happy with what I've got and have the time, knowing that I'm not earning the money. It's not an issue for me because I know that there's a way out of that, but that's where I am at the moment, I think.
Yeah, and it makes sense, and it's something that we have really been conditioned into thinking, and for a long time, and for our parents and our grandparents, that was how it was. They exchanged money for time, and the more time they gave, the more money they got, and it was really about building up that money so you then had a reserve of cash that you could then use to take more time off if you wanted. So yeah, I totally get that. So the question is, how do we get out of it? What advice would you give, Ben, on that? How to get out of that way of thinking, and how would you debate that on the other side? If I said that was the way it is, we have to exchange money for time. It's just a fact. If you want to have good things in life, then you got to work hard and you got to put in the hours. How would you go to the other side of that argument?
I don't know, because that's the way I've always done it.
Yep.
And that's the way, as we've said, parents and friends and other people I've worked with in business have always done it. Some of the most successful people I know are the most, stressed out, living on the edge, haven't got a minute, don't know how they do it, don't know how they fit everything in type people. And they've got money, and occasionally they'll take a couple of weeks away and have a nice holiday and they'll enjoy it. But most of the time it's sort of nose to grindstone type attitude. I guess one thing that I'm very interested in is the idea of a passive income. The idea of, and someone said this to me 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't get it, when he said, you want to be making money while you're asleep. And as a teacher, you've talked about being the superstar. I think most of us at the moment are still superstars. We're doing everything, wearing all the different hats. So at the minute, we go to sleep and we don't earn money. That's something that's so I haven't really got an argument against, because that's what I'm looking for, if you like.
Yeah. So and that's great, because that's where it comes from. Is that if you think about, if we go to the UK, you think about someone like Branson. I don't think he flies the planes. At least I hope he doesn't. I don't think he does a lot other than have meetings and give yeses and nos on he makes a lot of decisions on whether we do it or don't do it. I think he rallies support, and he does some good things. He seems like a great guy to me. But as far as the actual front line, working in Virgin stores and doing all that, he's not doing that stuff. He probably wouldn't even know how half of those jobs. Most of the jobs that get done, he wouldn't know how to do. He just owns them. So the mindset is that we need to, and this is where it gets hard to break out of this, and I know for myself it's been a long journey to get there. But the mindset that you need to realize is that money is everywhere. Money is flowing everywhere. If you read someone like Kiyosaki, he talks about the velocity of money, and in other words, wherever the money is moving the fastest is where you're going to make the most money. So the idea of the velocity of money is that when people hold money, in other words, I think everyone knows the old thing of, if you're tight-fisted with your money, people can't give you something. So if your hand's closed, you're not going to receive anything. So you've got to have it open, and it's the same with your wallet. You've got to have it open if you want to make money. So it's very much a cycle. It's not about being a sucker, and it's not about falling for for scams, and a lot of people out there who will do scams, and marketers, and I've been to these things where they get up and do a big talk and say, look, throw me $10,000 and this will be the start of your fortune. If you don't give anything, you don't get anything. And so it's just a sales ploy to get you to give that particular person more money. But the truth behind the underlying principle is actually correct, but it's just a matter of whether you're giving it to a scam artist or whether you're giving it to the right people or doing the right things with it. So within businesses, what happens within very wealthy, successful people is that they're very good at bringing deals together. The true definition of an entrepreneur is someone who finds a problem and a solution and makes a profit in the middle. So you don't have to be the solution. You might want to be the solution. Right now, the problem is someone wants to play guitar, and the solution is you teaching them. But the problem, if you want to grow, is you need to not be the solution. Someone else needs to be the solution. You just need to be the guy in the middle who makes the money. So it's the problem versus the solution, or the problem and the solution. Bring it together and make the money in the middle. So when you look at a business and you look at opportunities around you, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for, okay, where's there a big problem? Where is there something that people need? And this is something that Diamandis talks a lot about. And he said that the biggest opportunities today are where the biggest problems are. So look for the biggest problems, and that's where you're going to find the biggest opportunity. So if we look at some of the biggest breakthroughs, financial businesses, success stories in recent times, you can't go past Uber and Airbnb. These two companies saw problems and they saw solutions. Problem was taxis. I've had lots of experience with taxis. They're a pain for the most part. They complain when you don't have the right money. They complain if the ride's too short. And they run monopolies. Basically, they run quite expensive monopolies in Australia. So if you get in a taxi, if I get in a taxi from where I am and I want to go, to the airport, which is literally 10 minutes from where I am, it's still going to cost me $50, right? It's a very short ride. They're not happy about it because it's a short ride, but it's still expensive. Uber will do the same taxi ride, even though they're blocking them here in Cairns. They're not actually here in Cairns yet. They will do that same distance, I know from what I've seen, for about $10 or $12 for about a third of the cost that it would take to do a taxi. Uber will do it. So the solution is that we have, the problem is, and I'll come back and explain more about this in a minute with the Jay Abraham idea, but the problem is on one side that there are people like me who want to get from A to B. Yes, there are taxi services, yes, I own a car, etc., etc., but when I'm going to the airport, I'm getting on a plane, I don't want to drive my car and leave it there, I just want to catch a plane. So the taxi is really my only option. That you can't even get a bus here to there. The taxi is the only option. So they have a monopoly on it. With Uber, it brings in competition, so I get a lower price. Competition is good for that reason because it brings in two options for me. Now Uber obviously is, what all they're doing is they're taking the problem, which is people getting from A to B. The solution is people with cars who want to make some money and bring them together and taking 20%. That's it. They're the entrepreneur. They're in the middle, and that's where there was a big problem there, and Uber created a technology that has allowed that to happen. That now puts them at a $50 billion company and growing by the day. Airbnb have done the same thing. Uber are now the biggest taxi service in the world. Airbnb are now the biggest accommodation service in the world. Neither of them own a car or a hotel. So the idea is that when we're looking at from the entrepreneurial point of view, is that we need to think about the problem and the solution. Now, right now, how that applies to you guys is the problem is that people want to play guitar. The solution right now is you teaching them guitar, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the solution. If that involves your time and your resources, then that is not necessarily the best way to go about it. I'm not giving you any particular ideas here right now because in business it's good to grow. It's good to start from the bottom, work your way up, and see the different stages and the levels so that you understand it. But if we just go across to, I'll come back to the Jay Abraham idea here of having a business and talking about resources, where Jay Abraham talked about all these unused resources then Uber and Airbnb have tapped into unused resources. People have got cars that aren't being used. People who've got bedrooms in homes or apartments or houses that aren't being used. So they've taken Jay's idea, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did a seminar with Jay, because he's been around for a long time and he's known as the best in the business. But they've tapped in using apps, unused resources, and that's really the key to it. So if you look at your schools and expanding your schools and opening your schools, think about how many empty places there are, empty shops, empty schoolrooms, empty whatever, where you can run guitar classes. When you start to think in that way, then you start to realize, wow, there's so much opportunity. We could expand this, and that's what happened to me. That's why I went bang 5 schools. Wow, that was easy. And then I was like, okay, well, let's take it global now, and that's where the G4 Guitar Network came about. It came about through me thinking of unused resources, which are your resources. You guys having either your homes or your studios and wanting to build businesses that work. So me helping, so to speak, with providing everything that we need and more, and keep building on that to make sure your business is successful. But it's that whole idea of problem solution. You guys want to earn money through guitar. That's the problem. Solution is G4. That's the solution. Network together, learn together, accelerate our learning, improve our systems, rather than everyone. I just looked across the board and thought, this is just stupid. All these independent guitar teachers are building their own businesses. They're building their own systems of teaching. They're building their own, operations manuals and systems. They're trying to solve all the problems themselves. It's just insane. Why not bring us together and solve these problems together? Because then we're going to do it much faster. The amount of resources we've got. Just by the way, this is we're almost up to video number 100. So we've got over 100 hours of these videos now. Just these ones, not mentioning all the audios. And before we started doing the videos, we've got 250 hours or something. So we've got so much information that's available now to our members. And the development of G4 itself, the new FileMaker system that will be coming online next year, you can see the acceleration of this process. If I was just running my own little guitar school, it wouldn't have happened. And we know that because no one's done it. There's no one out there who's built that kind of framework for teaching guitar. We've got a couple of schools like School of Rock, Berkeley Institute that have done some great things, but not really what we're doing. And that's come about through the combined resources and really looking at this whole idea of problem solution and expanding out from there. So if you want to grow your business and grow your schools, start thinking in that abundant mindset, and the number of resources that are out there being unused right now. Think of all the companies that you could piggyback off in terms of marketing. How many companies are out there doing marketing where you could be on their marketing somehow? You could be combined in the marketing and getting exposure. This is what people like Richard Branson were very clever at. Dress up in a woman's, wedding dress and get free media exposure. Fly a balloon across the Atlantic or around the world and get free media exposure. He's piggybacking off the media. He's getting their cameras, their viewers, their eyeballs, and he's piggybacking off them. Facebook are getting you and me and everyone else to create eyeballs, to put stuff in front of people to get them there. So when you guys are reading my post, I'm reading your post, we're sharing stuff. Well, we're providing all the content for Facebook, so Facebook are using us to do it. The average person is on Facebook 5 hours a day. Sorry, not 5 hours a day, 5 hours of screen time, but they're on Facebook, an hour, maybe 2 hours a day on average. So with all this time that people are giving for free, Facebook are then selling ads off the back of those eyeballs and making squillions. And this is, AdWords, Google are the same. So this is where you can see the amount of resources and the abundance of resources that are being untapped all around you. And this is really what I want to open up in this conversation, is get you guys to see where some of these resources are. So if I jump to Ryan, I'll bring you in on this, Ryan. Can you give me an example, any example where there are untapped resources right now? They could be your resources or they could be somebody else's resources.
I have a lot of friends and I studied music. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
So I have a lot of friends or people that I've studied music with that are currently teaching from home, and not necessarily the most successful, or necessarily have the right skills, or they might think they have the right skills, but you can see the numbers aren't working for them, etc. So I look at that as an incredible resource to tap into and get them involved in the studio that I just signed the lease on today. So I got the keys for that now.
Congratulations, by the way. Excellent. That's fantastic.
And because you know, that place has 2 intro rooms and 3 group rooms that we can set up. So that's one of them. And other resources that I definitely kind of pick up on is just chat to people on the street. You know, that little aspect of it, chat to people, talk to them, go, hey, this is what I'm doing. I went into a cafe here and there, and people go, oh, yeah, I'll sign my kids up, and things like that, yeah.
Great. Yeah, every time you're out, wear a shirt, you know, let people know what you do. Have some flyers with you, talk to shops, you know, is it okay if I put a flyer up? You know, your food's great, I'll recommend you to somebody else. Get a picture together and stick it on Facebook. It's really, and when you talk to other retailers, or other businesses, you start to find out what resources they don't have available, you know, that they need and that you might be able to help them with. You know what I'm saying? You might have something that they might need a room that you've now got room. You're not going to use all that room.
Not at the moment, not yet. Yeah.
Not yet. You know, eventually you might fill it, but the idea is that you've still got that room available anyway, and they may say, hey, can we use your rooms at 9 o'clock, from 9 o'clock through 3 in the morning or something, because we we want to do our crazy seances or something. You know, whatever it is, it's you've got resources there, and there are so many businesses that most people who are in business, entrepreneurs, are looking for ideas, and they're looking for people who have ideas. So yeah, you walk into any restaurant in your area, right? And if you sat down at that restaurant and there was something on the table that, a flyer about guitar lessons or something. Not that I'm saying that you want to be that obvious in a restaurant, but it could be something where there's some kind of endorsement. It could be a combined thing. If you go to a McDonald's or a KFC or any of those restaurants, they actually have those paper things that they stick on their trays, which are usually promoting something. A lot of the time it's just promoting themselves, but they do things. And they also do, I don't know if you're aware, but McDonald's recently did a combined thing, and lots of companies are doing this now, where they were doing it with Monopoly game. So you had Monopoly.
Really? Yeah.
McDonald's Monopoly. Yeah. So you'd somehow, I'm not sure how it works, but my guess is that you somehow get cards or something, and you collect them, and then you win prizes. But the idea was to tie in something that people know and familiar with Monopoly with their business. Lego have been doing it with lots of companies. They've got movies, Lego movies. So it's kind of like the animators, Pixel combined with Lego. So you've got these combining businesses that are working together, and it can work in your area too, and it can work within what we're doing. There are so many opportunities now. What I struggle with is getting through all the ideas. I've got thousands of ideas. I've got thousands and thousands of notes that I've got on all the ideas, because I put them down, all with the intention of coming back and referring to them at some point. But most of them I never get back to. So.
Well, I figure like the biggest thing is that the untapped resource in my area, that there is no guitar teacher. That's basic. I mean, there are people, but there's not like an established sort of thing goes, oh, okay, they're a small organization. They obviously know what they're doing. That's an easy choice, you know what I mean? So, bang.
Yeah. And you're is it in Maroubra? The
Maroubra Junction itself, yeah.
Maroubra Junction. Okay, cool. Yeah. I've got a good friend who owns a pizza shop there. I don't know if you know Chris's Pizza. Have you heard of Chris's Pizza in Maroubra?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's there. It's right near the
Maroubra. Yeah. I'll have a look at it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, they've been there for years, but go in and say hello to them. Tell them you know me and you're part of G4, and speak to Joe though. Joe is the guy I know. They're probably Joe. You're walking to a pizza shop. Joe, everybody's Joe, but yeah, just to Joe.
Yeah, cool. I'll put that down.
Yeah, and so once you start talking to people and you start networking, you're coming up with ideas as the way you can work in different businesses. So Emma and I talk a fair bit, and Emma's been involved in a few different things, especially in the fitness industry. But she's been talking about Zumba and sharing the ideas of the Zumba behind the scenes of Zumba and how it works and the business genius behind it. And so I'm able to sort of adopt those ideas and think about those ideas. So it's not just me. It's not like I've gone to Zumba and say, hey, let's do something together. It's just sometimes by talking to other people who know about a business or involved in business, you get ideas for your own business. And this is one thing that Jay Abraham talks about a lot, is going to other industries that are very different and bringing those ideas across to your industry. Within G4, where I got the checklist idea from was flight. They use checklists to do everything, and that's why planes are the safest way to travel, is because of checklists. So I figured if that's a safe way to travel, it's probably a safe way to teach people guitar. So that bringing those different elements from different businesses into your business, often things that are unthought of. This is a common strategy that often works, bringing two things together, bringing one idea from a different business into a new business, rather than sticking to the old ideas that aren't really changing anything. Okay, cool. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
I don't know. I can't see who else here is on the line because you're all blocked. I've got a Ben and a Ben. Is that Trevor? Yeah. Okay, Trevor, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Excellent, welcome. So Trevor, have you got any ideas on I mean, you're already doing it. I have to say, before I even ask you this question, Trevor is a great example of where he's gone from, starting out as a guitar teacher. It seems like a long time ago, but really in business terms, Trevor's still fairly new. But he's managed to put together master classes. He's a couple now, and with Guthrie Govan, and we filled it. Like I think it beat all expectations. It ended up with almost 100 people, I believe. Just the contact of Guthrie is a great contact, but just the process of going through that and meeting people and bringing all those. Obviously, these aren't beginner guitar players. Trevor's managed to bring them all, and he's now on their radar, and he's made all these connections as well. So, and that all came from just thinking about ideas of how to take his business to the next level and do new things. So Trevor, have you got anything you want to add to the conversation as far as hidden resources that you're not aware of?
I mean, I guess from my point of view, in terms of students, I think, obviously one of the other things that I'm doing at the moment is opening a second school next year, and from that point of view, there's a huge number of students in that area that are not being contacted at the moment, that aren't sort of plugged into the whole G4 thing. That really, it's pretty much just a question of getting those flyers out there, getting the Facebook ads out there, making those phone calls, and there's potentially dozens, hundreds of students sitting there that I could be teaching or paying people to teach.
Yep, exactly. So there's if we talk about the students there, right? We know there are people out there. There are people out there right now who know they want to learn, and there are people out there who don't know they want to learn yet, and they will decide to learn, usually due to some stimuli. They might be playing a bit of guitar, they might own a guitar, they might have tried to teach themselves a little bit, but when they get the flyer, sometimes the idea of an actual teacher doesn't occur to them, doesn't come on their radar until they get it in their letterbox. And I know we've all been through this. The idea of, and it's hard to believe, but the idea of meals on a plane, the idea of watching TV on a plane or a movie on a plane, these weren't all originally happening. When planes were in the early days, you just got on a plane and you flew. They didn't have these array of entertainment and meals and whatever. So somebody came up with those ideas. Somebody thought, what if we serve meals on a plane? And yeah, okay. How do we do that? And then it went from there. Well, how do we keep these people busy? Well, put up a screen. So and if you look at cars I don't know how you guys, when I was a kid, there were no TVs in cars, and now all the latest cars, they've all got TVs in them. And where do you think they got that idea from? Planes, obviously. That's, again, taking an idea and bringing it across. So within, if we just talk about hidden resources for a minute, and within your own business, if we're talking about Trevor's opening a second location, and within that second location in that area, what I would do is go down and scout that area and look for the opportunities, and go there with your eyes wide open and think, where can I get an opportunity here to get to know people in the area? First thing I would do, the first thing that comes to mind is I walk into businesses that service the similar clientele but a different product. So it might be a kid's clothing store, it might be a toy store, whatever, and just go in there and introduce yourself. Say, hi, I'm Trevor, and I'm going to be opening a guitar school in the area very soon, and I just thought I'd say hello and see how things are going for you here, and how long have you been in business? And, oh, we've been here for whatever, 10 years. Yeah, things are going really well. Is it what's the area like around here? And next thing you know, you've made a friend, you've made a contact, you've got a bit of idea on things, and then maybe talk to them about their marketing. How do you market? What do you do? And the story typically that I get from a lot of these businesses that are doing well, I don't mean businesses that are not doing well, but the good ones, is that they say, oh, when we started, we spent a lot on this, and we wasted money on this magazine, and we tried that and it didn't work. We tried this and it was okay, and then we started doing this and it was really good. We did this for a while and it worked, but then it didn't work, so we stopped it. And then we just built up a really good clientele, and now we've got a great reputation, and we don't advertise anymore. And that's fairly typical of a very successful business, is they get to a point where they actually don't advertise anymore. They went through a whole bunch of things to get people to know who they were, but their underlying core product and what they do very well. Even if they didn't do it very well in the beginning, they learnt to do it well over time, and then through that process, they got to a point where they had such a good reputation that they no longer had to advertise. And we know that again with good restaurants, good shops, that they don't need to advertise, especially if they're a locally based business. So the idea of marketing is really to get people to try your product and then to know that you're good. And if they're trying your product and they're not actually believing that you're good, then that's where your problem lies. Your problem is not in your marketing. Your problem is in your product and in what you're doing. So just keep that in mind. That's a sort of a sidetracking a little bit there, but it's all built into the same thing. The concept is to get your business to that point. So back to the abundance mindset. What you want to be doing is seeing that wherever you open a guitar school, and wherever there's a population, obviously there are some limits. If you open a guitar school in the middle of the outback in Australia where there's 3 people and a dog living, you're probably not going to have a good guitar school of real people coming into your business. But if you open in a populated area, and I don't even care if it's sort of low socioeconomic, even those areas in our population in today's world, nobody is doing it that tough that they can't afford a guitar lesson, especially a group guitar lesson. And most parents will not hold back with their kids if their kids want to do something. It wouldn't really matter. Even, I remember my mother and father divorced when I was about 7 or 8. My mother was quite poor for a couple of the years there until she went into business and did well. But there was a period there of about 3 years, 4 years where we were all living in one room with my grandmother, and she, very broke. She really had nothing, no spare money. Yet she still paid for my guitar lessons, my drum lessons originally. She still found enough money to get me to do those lessons. And there were things that she would do, and that's what parents do. If they know their child, especially with education, they will find the money. They'll sacrifice themselves, and they will find the money. But in today's world, even that, it's not that tough. Things aren't that hard. I don't think many people are suffering at that point. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm living in my head in the clouds, and some people are doing it tough. I'm sure there are some people, but I think generally most people can afford a guitar lesson. So wherever you are, it's not a matter of the fact that there's not enough students. There's just the bottom line is there's a lack of ideas in terms of getting your resources out there. And this is really the main difference. And I think one of the things that Emma and I sort of collaborated a lot on, especially in when we worked together with Learn to Play and then with G4, was the ability to keep coming up with ideas, coming up with ways to generate business and to improve the business and to try things. We weren't afraid to try things, and I think like I said, that typical story of we tried this, it didn't work, we wasted money here, we wasted time here. Those things are going to happen, but it's that inertia and that ability to go out there and look for the resources, and that's where you find them. So, I don't know if Emma said she couldn't actually be heard because of something. Is that still the same, Emma? If you're not there, that's okay. She's probably just listening in, but she said her mobile phone wasn't working properly. Okay, cool. So
I am here. It's just a bit.
Okay.
It's not a great connection. That's all.
Okay, I can hear you there. All right. Did you want to add anything to the conversation?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been covered. It's things like taking advantage of situations and, like Ryan said, talking to people, and often talking to people that you don't expect to be helpful or useful. When the abundance mindset works in lots of different ways, and when you open your mind and your heart, weird as it sounds, to things coming your way, then things happen for a reason, and you look back and you go, wow, that was weird. I didn't expect that to happen. But it's because you're open to it, and that's what abundance is all about. So just don't walk around with blinkers on, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's two things there which I take away from what you're saying there is one, to be open to receiving. I think is very important.
Yep.
Not it's not just about we want to give. We know all that side of it about being giving, how important that is, but at the same time you've got to be open to actually receiving. So when someone opens a conversation or gives you a cue to talk, then if you block that off, if you're kind of a bit shy or you think the person's a bit weird, even when weird people come up to me, and it happens every now and again, of course, I still talk to them. I still look them straight in the eye and talk to them. And then if I think that they're too weird or they're trying something, I'll just return the conversation somewhere. I'll try and turn it around. But I won't back away, and I won't sort of be scared of someone or run away from someone. And I think because I'll give you a very good example. We were in Sydney, and we came out of the end of the 3-day seminar there on internet marketing, and this lady, funniest lady, she looked like, we thought she was one of those street pram ladies because she was carrying a trolley and she had all this stuff, and she had, it just looked like she was what I call a trolley, on a street living trolley lady, was dragging all the stuff around the trolley. But it turned out that she was a very smart woman, and what she was doing was that in her the trolley was all the stuff that she was taking around, and what she was doing, she was going around to all around Sydney, and she would go to a strip of restaurants, and she'd go in there and she would video the restaurant, and then she would say to the person, what we do is we make up a video, and if you like it, we sell it to you, and we sell it to you for $99. And so she was just going from restaurant to restaurant and saying, it doesn't cost you anything, we'll video it, we'll edit it. And what she was doing, she got a Korean student who was a videographer, a video editor, sorry, to do the video and put it all together based on a kind of a template idea. And then she was showing it back to the restaurant and saying, this is the video, you can have it, and it'll we'll help you get it up online and everything as well, $99, and it's all done for you. And she said that she was selling, she would do, on a strip of restaurants, she would say do 20 restaurants, and about 5 of them or 6 of them would sign up. So she'd go out, and it'd take her a couple of hours to do that, and she would make $500-600 a day. And this was a woman who wasn't young. She was probably late 60s. She was a grandmother, and she was just out there doing it. And we were looking at each other going, because she showed us, she had a laptop and everything. She showed us some demos of what she'd done, and that was really good. And I've got her card and details as well. And I was just like, wow, totally out of the blue. Here we were coming out of this internet, and here's a living, breathing example of someone who's making money online, and very, not young, and she was a big lady as well. She wasn't terribly fit, but she was out there doing it. She had a bad leg even, but yeah. So just by talking to anyone, you can learn something and you can open up opportunities and find resources and untapped resources. I saw this woman, by the way, as an untapped resource. Here was a woman going out here working these restaurant shops. Yes, she was making some good money, but at the same time she was available to do other things, because she, as she said, I can't do this forever. Come a point where I don't really want to be doing it anymore. So here was a woman who had really good skills at editing videos, and she was getting it done cheap through a Korean student. So she's somebody who come to one of your schools, come in and do it, and for $99 I'd pay her. Really, if in the situation you guys are in, especially in Sydney, thinking someone like Ryan, pay this woman $99 to come in and do all the video shots, do it all up, edit it all. It's literally would take you a couple of days' work to do it all, to do the video and the editing and everything. It'd be a couple of days. Just pay her and get it done. So this is the idea of being open to different people's ideas. So I think we've covered that. Do any of you guys have any other questions that you want to throw up? It doesn't have to be to do with this topic. It can be anything you want. We all good? No? Okay. Yep.
I'm just thinking about, like, okay, this month and next month, statistically, I guess, are slower, or there's more momentum. Of course, it's generalizing it, and depends how you approach it. As you say, it depends how you look at it. You can turn it either way. But is there any thing that I should expect, so I can just kind of prepare for that, maybe, other than drop out, something like that? Obviously, that happens.
It's funny. It's not necessarily that December is a slow month. In terms, sometimes you can be surprised, and I just say November, December are slow months, and to expect it, because you get a combination of students who drop out for the holidays, and then you get other students who your normal kind of sign up may not happen. But then you can get also a burst of students who have just finished school. They're just wrapped up at school now. They're even if they're at school for these last few days, they're in holiday mode already, and they're thinking, hey, this summer I want to learn to play guitar. This is so those people are out there, and I certainly got them. Like I said, when I started marketing for G4 in November of 2005, by the end of December I had about 10 students. So that was purely off flyers. I didn't do anything else. So I think that you can certainly pick.
Just did flyers. You didn't do anything else. You were saying? Sorry, is that what you said?
Nothing else. Just purely flyers. I probably dropped. It was probably spot on. I probably dropped about 10,000 flyers up until that point.
Yeah, cool.
And ended up with 10 students.
Is there any way in particular that I could engage with, somehow figure out a way of engaging with those students that are on holidays? And I figure as well, Christmas Day is going to come. There's going to be a lot of guitars given as gifts. So I'm trying to think about engaging with that basically to jump on that one.
I've had a few ideas on that, and one idea that I thought about really just today was that something like Facebook you could do it on if you want to really get in the minds of people right on time, or you can still do it with flyers either way. But the idea might be to have some flyers done just to print them off at Officeworks or something, just as many as you're going to deliver in this very short period of time, saying that between for the month of December only, just say for the month of December, come and have a free lesson. You've just got you got your guitar, so just do it just for December, where you give them a free lesson, because they've just got their guitar. I know that I normally talk about not giving away free lessons, but I think in certain times it's worth trying. And you got these people who've got a guitar. It's Christmas. They're literally going to open their guitar. And my idea was more with Facebook, where you'd run an ad just for a couple of days. Because people, Christmas Day, there's nowhere to go. You're sitting at home. What are most people going to be doing? They're going to be checking their Facebooks.
Yeah, right? That's what else is doing what.
That's exactly where they're going to be. And they're going to be showing off their new guitars to their friends. They're going to be taking pictures and sharing it. So if you can hit those people right there, free guitar lesson, if you take it this week before the 31st of December, this week grab a free guitar lesson. Or,
So,
yep.
with Facebook, does that market to everyone in your area, so to speak? Obviously, not everyone, but or does it only market to the people that have liked your page?
No, Facebook marketing, they don't have to have anything to do with your page. You can target people. The first level of marketing within Facebook, and I call this level 1 marketing, and that is that you adjust anyone in your area. You can put your ads in front of. Facebook choose, who it goes in front of and for how long and how often, based on the ad and the kind of relevancy. So they don't just throw any old ad. They want ads to be relevant to people. So if your ad's about guitar lessons, they're more likely to put it in front of people who have got some interest in guitar or meet a certain kind of criteria. So a 90-year-old grandmother that has absolutely zero interest in guitar, they're probably not going to throw ads up in front of her. They're more likely to put something else that she's interested in. So the idea is that within Facebook marketing, that level 1 is that you advertise to people based on, you can do it on interest, so you can put guitar as an interest, or you can put other kinds of interests that are similar to guitar. It could be guitarists, there could be certain guitar players that that your students like, so you could put that up. So there are, but you target your area. You just go within, Facebook is done in miles, so you might go within a 10-mile radius at the most, and hit the people in that area. So the level 1 is that people come in and they look at your ad, and if you have a pixel on your website, then it will plant a cookie on their website for up to 180 days, and then what you can do is you can remarket to those people. So people who have clicked on your first ad, they've got an interest. They might have said learn to play guitar or guitar lessons, in Maroubra, new school just open, whatever your ad is. People click on it and they look at it and they go, okay, that's cool. I might check them out after the holidays. Then if you've got them in your remarketing list, your what we call a custom audience, then you can then market to those people only, knowing that you're hitting people with a different ad this time. So the first ad might not have worked, so the ad might have been $99 for 5 weeks. Your second ad might be a free trial lesson, and that's where the remarketing process comes in with G4 and can be quite effective, because if they clicked on it the first time for $99 for 5 weeks but haven't bought, then you can come back with a separate offer. And it might not even be a free lesson, it might be what we call a tripwire. That could be a $5 lesson. Have a $5 guitar lesson, in December only. And you imagine someone sitting there, they've just opened their guitar, they're strumming it, giving it a bit of a go, and then they're checking their Facebook, telling their friends, hey, look at my new guitar, I'm going to learn to play now. And then your ad comes up, $5 guitar lesson. And they go, wow, what's that? I'll just check on that. Bang, Maroubra G4 guitar, come down and have, before December 31st, have a $5 guitar lesson. So.
Cool, no, that's great. I'll definitely get into that. I'll just wait for that next money to come in, and then I'll put it into that.
Yeah, cool. And look, go hard on the flyers.
Yeah, I'm getting burnt.
Yeah, good. Get out there and really look at like I said, the idea of, really the takeaway for today is that abundant mindset and looking out for all the opportunities of unused resources in the area, looking for different businesses that can help endorse you, resources that they could possibly use, and even, like I said, within your business, what can you give to them? Do they need some space, etc. So keep the mind open, and read Jay Abraham.
Say who?
Jay Abraham, Sticking Point Solution is his book. You have a read of that. He's got lots of stuff. One of the guys put up his website the other day. But Jay Abraham, Jay, just as it sounds, Jay Abraham, Abraham. So. All right.
I know we're getting late. Can I just ask a couple of quick questions?
Yeah, go, Ben.
Firstly, when you were talking about the flyers that you were delivering for Christmas, did you change them? Or was that just 10,000 normal flyers got you 10 students?
10,000 normal flyers, yeah. It was basically much the same as it is now, a little bit different. but pretty much the same. I think I had a guitar on it, not a guitar, someone playing guitar like there is now. I think it was just a guitar. Yeah.
Fair enough. Not too different though.
No, and it was black and white. Yeah, that was pretty well it. Yeah.
Fair enough. And then I like the idea of doing a special Facebook advert. Is that something that we could do with the Done For You adverts, or is that something we'd have to do ourselves?
Yeah, we could set it up. I think I can put it on a thing, but I wouldn't interrupt your current marketing. What I would do is just put it. Maybe you could put another £100 into just running the one ad for your Christmas. That bit. So set up. I'm happy to do it for you if you want me to do it as a Done For You. But yeah, I'd recommend doing it as a separate amount. So just put in a one-off payment, not a subscription, and I can do it for you. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's just an idea. I don't know how well it would go, but it would definitely be, and I wouldn't mind testing it as well because we can see how well it works. So.
Cool. And is it easy to limit the length of time? So you can say, I only want people to see this advert between 25th December and 31st.
Correct. Yeah. We just set it up
that it does spend the right amount.
Exactly. What we do is we just set it up to use the budget over however many days. So if it's say 5 days, we just set up the budget gets spent across those 5 days.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And then the last thing. Yep. Carry on.
Sorry.
I was going to say carry on. I didn't.
Oh, I was just going to say you can set a start and end date for our campaign. So that's all I do is put it in. Maybe put it for the 25th of December, finishing on the 30th or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe even the 24th, so the parents might see it just before and think, well, they're giving him a guitar tomorrow, so... Yeah,
exactly. We can throw in one of these, maybe you could do it as £5, a £5 voucher, for a guitar lesson. Yeah. Get a £5 voucher. This is only valid for, the next week, or even in the first week of January if you want. But yeah, set a short expiry date, £5 lesson. Normally it's
maybe January would be a New Year's resolution one, saying, thinking about learning guitar, has it been a New Year's resolution for ages? Well, you could do it for a £5-10 lesson, something like that. Yeah. And then just do the one-off, and then they can see what's going on. I think over Christmas, maybe this is all just guessing from the last 10 minutes of discussion, but I feel like over Christmas they're more likely to go for a full intro because they're still in buying mode. It's been the season throwing all their money at things.
Yeah, I think so. People have this thing about once they start spending, and it's well documented that once people start spending, they spend more, and it's not. You think it'd be the opposite. Logically you think, well, I've just spent $1,000. I need to probably stop spending a little bit. But people actually, once they start spending, they loosen up a bit, and they get in the habit of spending it again, and then they sort of tighten up a bit later. What's that?
That didn't hurt as much as it could have.
No, that's right, and just I think it's the buying thing. It's the pleasure they get, the endorphin rush when they just bought something that's new, like a new iPhone or a new toy. People buy a new computer, they go and spend $2,000 on a new iMac computer, and then they've just spent a lot of money on a computer, and then the next day they go out and buy a new iPhone as well to go with their new iMac. Go figure. Sorry,
the last thing I just wanted to say is a suggestion that I imagine we could talk about it for a while, but if I just give it to you now, because I know it's running late and you can think about it. Yeah. What about a vague yearly planner, maybe marketing planner, maybe just general planner for G4? So when it gets to Christmas, there's just that December marketing push for lessons, and then in January marketing push for New Year's resolutions, and then for Southern Hemisphere, summer holiday lessons in Christmas time, and then North Hemisphere in July.
I actually think it's a great idea, and I think if you could mark a couple of things like open days throughout the year and a couple of shopping centre promos.
Some stuff up like some along the top suggestions, and then a yearly planner that you could drag them into, just so that anyone because I still don't feel like I want to push my marketing much more than I already am. It has been a slow December, but I'm still getting steady enrollments, and I don't want to suddenly have full intros. I don't know where to group them. I'm happy with the rate it's going so far.
Yeah.
But then, it would be good to know what I'm not doing yet for the moment I do want to start pushing the marketing more, to just go, oh, that one and that one would be easy. School fairs is another one we can put in there, because I've done a couple of school fairs and they're just so easy, good fun, only takes a few hours of your time, generally costs almost nothing, so it would be good to have that.
I think it's a great idea, and it's something that eventually, a lot of these things will come eventually. But it's having it within FileMaker as well. So you could have a marketing planner, and then you have a drop-down list of the different things that you could do. Plus, you could add other ones in there. Yeah. So yeah, no, that sounds good. I think it's a good idea to plan out the year and plan out. Make sure you get a couple of open days in. Make sure you get a couple of market stalls or shopping centre promos in, and because then you can start to look at the numbers. You go, well, typically from an open day, I'm going to pick up another 10 or 15 students. Typically from a shopping centre promo, I'll pick up 10 or 20 students, and then so you can see throughout the year. Well, throughout the year, this is going to bring me in 150 students. I expect to lose about 50 of those, so therefore I'll end up with 100 new students within the year. So if you've got it, and it really does come down to numbers. The one thing about business that I love is that the numbers start to become predictable once you're doing them and measuring them. You look at most sort of scenarios of marketing, you're getting similar sort of results. So we know the flyers produce particular results per 1,000. Even Facebook, I did, one of the teachers, we did a bit of assessment earlier today, and it worked out that he spent about $1,000 on Facebook marketing, and he's got 4 students that are paid and enrolled, but he's got another 32 inquiries that have come through on Aweber. And the problem was he didn't realise that when they left their phone number on Aweber that he was supposed to call them, but that's okay. It was just a misunderstanding, communication within the system.
Email there, so that's a list.
Yeah.
Even if you have a direct contact them, is that something you can use for what you were talking about, your level 2 marketing? What was it called, lookalike or?
Yeah. Oh no, the lookalike's a little bit different, but it's building custom audiences. Yeah, you can use those to do a custom, build a custom audience.
They've already been interested once, second time they'll definitely see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but even those phone numbers, you can still go back and call them. And some of them might say, "Hey, I messaged you about this 3 months ago. Why is it taking you 3 months?" And you can just sort of say, "Oh, there was a problem with the system. We didn't. Your phone number wasn't, or that it didn't come through to me." And some of them may be interested, some of them not. But I'm quite confident that if he's got that list of 32 that have come through on his Aweber via the Facebook marketing, because that's all we've been doing, he can be confident that he's going to pick up another couple of students out of that. So for now, maybe a couple more, and for his investment, he's got a good return. And because the thing about Facebook, even though it's initially not as good a return as the flyers are still your best return. You've still got the remarketing to come after that, and you've still got the exposure. I looked at his the ads themselves, and there were altogether there are more than 100 plus combined shares, likes, and comments. So, and we're talking comments. We're talking something like 25 comments, and nearly every comment is someone referring someone else to the ad.
Saying, "Look at this." Yeah.
Look at this. They're showing someone else, and that someone else could be interested or not interested. But and often they're not interested. They're just, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Thanks for that." But the idea is that the word is spreading around. So he's to me, the investment's been great for him so far. Excellent. All good. I like the planner idea, so I'll note that down, and then we'll sort of look at that in the new year to see if we can sort of map it out together. Maybe bring. I'd like to bring some of the ideas of different guys that have done things. Paul Andrews and Ken and Ruby and all those guys who have done different things that are outside of Ben Messenger as well, outside of the G4 normal flyers and so forth, and so we can bring those things in and really build it up. So yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Oh,
thanks, guys. Yeah, sorry. Go.
If you are doing that reading notation, don't worry for now, because I found a free program, Muse Score, and I've done those 10 songs. I'll send them through. Rhythms might be a bit tricky. I might simplify them, but I'll put them on Facebook and you can see.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Ben.
No.
Darren. Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Thanks, Ben and Ben. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
See you later, guys.
See you guys. See you next
Bye.
time. Bye-bye. Next week will be the last week, by the way.